Hello and welcome. And today's workout is focusing on abdominals, the upper abdominals, the lower abdominals, the brace position. Really important to have a strong back, as well as working with the pelvic floor. So I will educate throughout the class about the diaphragm as well as the pelvic floor diaphragm, which works in synergy with each other. So basically, I'm going to explain that now before we go into our workout, so you get a sense of what is happening in your body every time you breathe, because it's really important to have a solid foundation in our pelvic floor, especially as you're going to be entering pregnancy and carrying a heavier baby, and even post-pregnancy. This is an important way of engaging the pelvic floor correctly. So when we're lifting heavy items, we're able to protect ourselves. Okay, so a little education first of all. We've got the diaphragm as when we breathe in and out, and we've also got the pelvic floor. Let's call this the diaphragm as well. And this hand here is going to act, I'll make it a little bit higher so you can see what I'm doing. This is going to act like an umbrella that opens and an umbrella that closes, an umbrella that opens and closes. And so basically what happens is when we are in-breathing, the diaphragm goes down, so it will come down, and what happens is the umbrella opens, and when we exhale, this goes up and then the umbrella closes. And so there's a unison that happens with the diaphragm as well as with the pelvic. I'm going to call it the diaphragm just to make it easier for today. So if we take an in-breath in together, this is what's happening. And if we take an out breath, that's what's happening. Okay. So there is a pressurized container that happens in the abdomen. And so where we can get pelvic floor instability is when we use the waist muscles to always hold in tight, because we're always bracing, or we want to feel like we want to pull in the belly. We're not feeling so bloated and looking so bloated. And so what happens over time is when we'll say to a client, can you lift your pelvic floor? Instead of lifting the pelvic floor, what they're doing is squeezing the waist muscles. And so we want to try through this exercise engaging the rectus abdominis properly, the lower transverse abdominis, the side muscles, as well as the back muscles. So I'll meet you on the mat. We're going to start off in a kneeling position. We are going to have the hands directly underneath the shoulders, and the knees are going to be hip-width apart, and start to pull the belly in and take your eye gaze up towards your belly button, and then drop the belly button down, look up towards the sky. And let's use our breath here, exhaling, and then in breath, exhaling, taking a nice deep breath in. 2 more rounds. Tucking your chin in, so we're allowing the whole spine to be lubricated. Beautiful. From here, we're going to take the bottom down towards the floor, outstretching the arms, and lift the head up on the in-breath. And exhale, tuck the head down. And again, lifting on the in-breath and lowering on the out-breath. Beautiful. Coming up into our all-four position again. And we're going to take the right arm out in front, pull the belly into the belly button. We call this the first zip, and the second zip takes us up to the diaphragm. So we're just pulling in the waist muscles slightly here and take out the left leg, and we are going to hover here. And so with the waist muscles, with the lower abdomen, we're not pulling it in with force. It's just a natural engagement. We're going to bring the knee and the elbow together and round through the back. So exhaling, in breath to stretch, exhale, in breath to lower. Let's do 4 more at your pace. Last 2. Final 1. And release. Beautiful. Let's take it to the opposite side. Outstretch. Hovering here. Imagine that someone is holding your wrist and your ankle and pulling you apart slightly. Beautiful. And let's go again, using a beautiful exhale, round through the back, into center, and release. Final 3 to go. Last 2. And complete. Beautiful. From here, yogis. Well, kind of yogis. Feels like we're in a yoga pose before we come into full abdominal workout. We're going to take the knees behind the hips, leaning slightly down, round through the shoulders, look straight down towards the floor, and you're going to feel a gentle abdominal brace here. We're going to hold this position and bring the elbows halfway down, and you're going to feel that building even more so, straightening the arms, bending the elbows again, and lowering the body to the ground. We're going to stretch the abdomen, so press into the floor, lift the shoulders, unclench the buttocks, press the weight into the front of the feet, and come back down. Beautiful. Release through, taking the bottom down towards the heels. Come back to center position. We're going to take the elbows to the floor. I'll give you 2 varieties here for a prone brace, and that is you can have your knees to the floor and pull forward, or you can actually come up onto the toes. We're going to hold this for a period of time. Here's my suggestion. When your back starts to cave in, I want you lifting your bottom up like it's a little tent. And you're just going to hold it here for a couple of seconds, and then you're going to lower back down again. If you feel that you can't hold the brace position and you're on your toes, you come down onto your knees. If you are on your knees and you're finding this hard, then you pull your bottom back slightly. I'm going to count us down for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release to the knees, press back through the hands, release the tension from the arms. Beautiful. Let's come up onto high arms this time, high plank, lifting uppermost. If you want to make it a little bit harder for yourself, you're going to take one knee down towards the floor. Remember, you've got a choice that if being up on the toes is too hard for you, you stay on the knees. Okay, one more each side. Drop to the knees, release back. Have a little breather here. Beautiful. Let's come up onto the arms again. We're going to take the legs back. There's going to be 2 ways I'm going to get you to do this. For some of you, you may need to have the knee to the ground, and the other knee is going to go to the elbow, kick back, take it to the chin, kick back, take it to the opposite elbow, kick back, okay? If you can do it on your toes, Let's start now. So elbow, kick back, chin, kick back, opposite elbow. Here we go, 2 more rounds. Cross it over. Use the breath. In breath to kick back. Exhale to center. In breath to turn. Bring it back to center. Have a little breather. We're going to come to the opposite side. Here we go. Take your position and away we go. Use your breath, exhaling, crossing over. Center, opposite elbow, and downward facing dog. Let all that pressure come out down the arms. Beautiful. Coming to the side of the body, onto the elbow, hand on hip. We're going to be lifting the hips off the floor. I'll give you some variations here as well. First of all, it's just a matter of just lifting the hip off the floor. If this feels okay for you, we're going to come to another variation of lifting hip, extending leg, and bringing the hip up and down this way. So come with me. The elbow is directly underneath your shoulder. Two more to go. Beautiful. Swing that leg across. Just gently hug it. Lift up the chest. And we're now going to take it to the opposite side. So come into the variation that feels good for you. And away we go. Lifting up. Leg. And up and down we come. Two more to go. Last one. Swing the leg over and give it a nice little cuddle. Beautiful. Coming back into that same side. We're going to lift the hips up. We're going to take the arm overhead. You've got 2 options here. You can either come with the extended leg, bring the elbow and knee to center. If this feels like it's too much, I want the hip to the floor and come into center position from this position, okay? So I'm going to start counting. Find the position that feels good for you today. We're going to go for 10. Here we go. Exhale, in breath. Exhale, in breath. Smiling. Smiling because we're doing it, or smiling because it's nearly over. One more to go. Awesome. Let's swap it over. And away we go. Exhaling as you're bringing the limbs together. 9, one more, 10. Beautiful. Okay. Bring the legs to front. And just slowly start to make your upper body down towards your lower body. A few more times, we're just warming up through the back muscles. Beautiful. From here, we are going to go back into a side position. So ideally, your shoulders have had a little bit of a rest now. Great work. And we're going to lift again, hold here, take the leg out. We're going to swing the leg towards the front and towards the back. Towards the front. Beautiful. Again, if it feels too much to have the hip off the floor, I'm going to demonstrate. You can have the hip on the floor and take the leg further back. Last one here. Beautiful. Coming back onto your belly. Take the hands in front, up onto the fingertips. Lift the elbows, straight arms, and clench the buttocks. Press into the pubic bone, press into the top of the feet. Shoulders are away from the ears, and just feel your beautiful belly line up, pushing up against the floor. One more here. Awesome. Let's come on up onto the hands and the knees. Coming into a push-up. So we're going to come into a kneeling push-up here. Elbows point towards the sides of the room. And bring yourself up and down. Strengthening the core. Two more to go. Last one. And releasing. Wonderful. Let's come to the opposite side. Beautiful. We're going to take the legs straight out again. So find your variation. Arm comes up, towards the front, towards the back. We're working with the oblique muscles here. This is the side of the container. When we did the plank position onto our elbows, we're working the front of the container. Two more to go. Oh, we might even have a visitor from Alfie, my cat. He might come in to say hello. He's hovering around. Okay. Come up, holding onto the knees. We're going to work with what we call the rectus abdominis. That is the front of the body. Hey, buddy. Okay. So taking the hands nice and straight, pulling the belly towards the thighs and thighs towards the belly, pointed toes towards the floor. We're going to lift one leg up, so hold the back of the knee, lift the other leg up, pull in slightly tighter. We've got a beautiful engagement here. So notice this position, because when we come up to do our sit-ups or our half sit-ups, we want to try and come up with a nice straight lower and middle back. So this is the position that we want to try and have. Release the legs, roll down the back, straighten out the arms, bring the arms up towards the ceiling, look down your body. So lift the head and shoulders, look down the body, and then release the head. Let's do that 2 more times so we get a nice length through the top of the spine. So it makes it easier and more effective when we come into our sit-up position. So bring the feet closer to the bottom. Take the hands to the bottom of the thighs. Look up to the body and just take the hands over the knees and come back down again. And again. We want to be exhaling here. And we try not to over squeezing the lower belly muscles. It's coming from the top of the chest. It's coming from the diaphragm. Beautiful. We've got 2 to go. Last one. Release the hands overhead. That was a half sit-up, just so we're able to move and extend through the shoulders. Beautiful. Now lift the legs all the way up towards the ceiling. Bring the hands close to the shins and come all the way up as far as you can. Here we go. Lifting. We're going to go for 10. We're halfway. Really reaching all the way out, as far up as you can, and release. Hold the back of the legs and press the legs closer to the body so you get a nice big stretch through the lower back and up to the legs, all the way to the calves. Beautiful. From here, we're going to bend the knees and let them float. Take the hands behind the ears. You might want to clasp them behind the head. When we come up, the elbows ideally stay flat. So we don't want to try and come up this way. We don't want the arms to think that we're doing a sit-up. We actually want the sit-up coming from the shoulders. So lifting and come back down. Lifting up and down. So it's like a press up. We want to be fully exhaling on the way up. In breath on the way down. We've got 5 to go. Two more. Last one. Release. Take the legs all the way up. Point the toes towards your face. Take the legs slightly apart. And with your right hand, your left elbow is going to anchor you towards the ground. With your right hand, you're going to roll over your shoulder towards the elbow, touch the ankle, come back down. Here we go. So this arm acts as your leverage, and you press up. You just pull up slightly at the top of that movement. Three to go. Release. Coming to the opposite side. And away we go. Two to go. Last one. Releasing. Beautiful. Hands to the floor, palms face down. Pull the belly in, slightly into the lower belly, lifting up the hips. Take your knees towards the mat or towards your toes, lifting up slightly higher and roll down the spine. And again, rolling the spine off the floor and then press back down again. 2 more times, lifting, pressing down. Last time. And release. Beautiful. Taking the fingers just to the inside soft part of your hips. So you'll find the bony part of your hip and stick both your fingers in as far as they'll go. And then all we're going to do is feel like we are ready. Actually, let's bend the knees. Good. Okay. We're going to take the left leg down and you're going to feel, it's a bit like a walnut muscle that starts to contract. Come to the opposite leg. And again, the lower back stays grounded to the floor. As we lower one leg at a time, if you're feeling the contraction in the lower part of your belly, this is what we call the transverse abdominis. So it works deeply into the lower belly muscles. I've got one more to go each side. And releasing that. Let's go a little bit deeper with that practice now, taking the hands behind the back. I'll just move my mic. Legs come all the way up. You can take one leg down at a time or both legs together, as long as your lower back stays pressed into your hand. So I'm going to demonstrate one leg at a time. Lower and hover. Let's use the breath. So we're helping the pelvic diaphragm. So we in-breath on the way down, we exhale on the way up. If you want to do two legs at the same time, let's do that together now, or stay with single leg lowers. Lifting back up. Remember, the number one rule is the lower back does not dome. So when you're feeling that it's doming, you don't come that low. We've got two more to go. Last one. Press knees in, release, and just give yourself a bit of a shake. Wonderful. So we ended up working the side of the abdominals. We ended up working the top. We've now worked the bottom. And when we were splitting the hands and the legs, we were working the back. So to finish off the class for today, I'm going to take you into a little pelvic floor lying down practice. Just place your hands on your belly and feel where your anus is. So where tailbone and anus, and also where the pubic bone is. And so we're going to close like a zip from the back to the front. So let's just practice that and let it go. There's a zip. So we're zipping from the back to the front of the pubic bone. Let us use the breath. So as we're zipping, it's on the in-breath, and exhale, we unzip. When we do this lying down, it's slightly easier to find and feel the muscles around the pelvis and the pelvic floor. Okay, now we're going to come in and add a little bit more, which is a lift. So once we close the zip, we lift. So for men, it's pretty much around the perineum, or where the scrotum meets the perineum. Let it go. And for women, The lift is happening around the vaginal opening. So there's just a little in and out. Closing the zip and then pulling in slightly and releasing. Let's go for one breath and release. Hold for one breath and release. Holding for that in breath, releasing on the out breath. Two more. And the last one. Have a little break here because now we're going to be holding for a count of 10. And if you feel that you can't hold when I'm counting to 10 and you're releasing, or you need to relax on a count of 6 or 7, all I ask is that you don't beat yourself up. When I start again, we'll start the practice again. We can only grow and extend from here, okay? So here we go, closing the zip, lifting and holding. You're not holding your breath, you're just holding the contraction. You're holding that squeeze. We're already at 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and fully release. One breath in, one breath out. Let's begin again. Zipping on the in-breath, holding, breathing normally. We've got 3 seconds to go. And releasing. Let's do 3 more rounds for today. Let's begin. What are you feeling in the sensations of your body as you're contracting and releasing in this way? Fully release. Take a breath in and out. On your next in-breath, here we go, second last round. This is so helpful for us in our whole life, not just through this transition that you are preparing for. Release. And on your next in-breath, last time, here we go. And release. Beautiful. Okay, you can stay there if you want to do some more, you can. We're going to have a little stretch. So just stretching out the arms, stretch out the legs. Beautiful. Rolling to one side. Let me know in the forum how this workout was for you, and I look forward to seeing you on the mat again.